I'm a pretentious film snob.
And I'm lucky if I can sit through a quarter of a movie at a time.
And
we both have film degrees.
So with our powers combined,
We are uniquely positioned to answer the question,
Will it date
movie?
the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been around for almost 20 years now, and has been on a real downturn lately, so if you've somehow missed the almost 40 movies they've released till now, it's probably a pretty bad point to jump on.
That's where I come in. The most I know about Marvel is from Marvel Rivals and the 2 comics I've read, as well as the odd movie here and there. So I think I'm pretty well prepared.
Half of those movies aren't from the MCU. That's not gonna help you. But as for me, the moment I missed my first MCU project around here, it was scorched earth. I could not care less about religiously attending each of these.
But Marvel Rivals stoked my superhero fires, and I wanted more. So we watched Guardians of the Galaxy and Infinity War.
But not Endgame.
Yeah, because Infinity War was such a snooze fest. Apparently it was like a big deal or something, but I didn't get the hype.
Yeah, probably because we watched it like 7 years after it came out. Drizzy's Marvel timeline looks something like this. Spider-Man saw some more Spider-Men. The Guardians of the Galaxy did some space stuff. The Avengers lost to Thanos. And Deadpool and Wolverine just fucked around for a bit. So all in all, pretty bleak.
But the Thunderbolts looked different and unique. Anna has the Winter Soldier, who I know is both armed and dangerous.
I hope you all love it. Armed and dangerous. Again, again, again.
And that's about it.
Any idea who these guys are?
One of these might be Captain America.
Actually, this is Captain America.
Oh, is he in this?
No. Anyway, now that there's a ton of positive buzz... Fuck. Anyway, now that there's a ton of positive buzz and Disney and Marvel Studios have spoiled some vital plot elements, we thought we'd give this a shot and see if Thunderbolts will date movie. Okay, so we're running late for our very first thing of this. So before we go in, I just want to hear it from you. How many Thunderbolts do you know?
0.
You know Winter Soldier.
Oh, is that what they're called? They're called
They're called the Thunderbolts.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. What are you expecting from this movie?
I hope that Winter Soldier is going to say his iconic again line at least once.
If he says again, even if he just says it like again, even if he just says like that, like
then
it's
I'll
not even
win
the same
the day.
context, I will scream. I will scream in the theater and throw my popcorn up and go crazy like it's a chicken jockey moment.
I'm so ready.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Alright guys, we just got back. So these are our first impressions. First of all, the cinema experience was fucking weird. So when we got there, like when we were getting our tickets and stuff, there was this really hyperactive like teenage dude that was like, I don't know, like kind of talking like he was super excited for Thunderbolts but didn't want everyone to know he's excited for a Marvel movie. So he's like trying to play it cool. So he's like, oh guys, friggin' what are we watching again? We're watching that new Marvel movie. We're watching that new friggin' Marvel movie, dude. As if he totally didn't care, but he was like so excited. And then we get into the cinema and we had a very active cinema, but not active as in like there's tons of people.
No, it was so empty, but like...
But everyone in there was like friends or something.
Everyone was so loud.
Yeah, so we had people behind us, and they would every now and then like get up and go down and talk to the people in the front, take a selfie with the flash on, and then sometimes people will come and sit in the row behind us and start a big conversation
And
like that.
they were talking non-stop.
Yeah.
Like the whole movie.
And then at some point the cinema got like quiet again, and it seemed like everyone was just like enjoying the movie. But then when the lights came on and the movie was over, we look behind us, we look in front of us, they just left. That whole group just left at some point. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a little bit distracting.
But yeah, good movie though.
Amazing movie.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Just in general, first impressions, I think we had a good time.
Yeah.
As far as dates
It
go.
was not what I was expecting from a Marvel movie. So I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it had a little bit more depth. It was like a little bit more interesting. It looked like they were trying to make something a little bit more,
Yeah.
you know, creatively.
It was deeper.
Yeah,
than
I
what
would
I
say.
thought it would be.
Yeah. I wouldn't say like 100% as if it blows it clean. I mean, Guardians 1 where his mom dies and that comes back in the end, I thought that was pretty well done. Do you remember that?
I think, no, that's just like a part of the movie.
Yeah, this whole movie
movie's
is about,
overall
yeah,
message
that's true.
was pretty deep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's
For a
true.
Marvel movie.
Yeah, for a Marvel movie. Gotta clarify.
If you've been through some shit in life, this movie will be good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. The first question you have to ask yourself when taking someone to an MCU movie is how much will my date need to know? After giving it some thought and seeing the movie, I found that in order to get all of the references and context, you would have had to watch Captain America: The First Avenger, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Captain America: Civil War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Black Widow, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Captain America: Brave New World, Avengers: Infinity War, and Avengers: Endgame. There were probably a few references to other movies that I missed, like maybe they mentioned something about Secret Invasion that went over my head. But that's everything I thought someone might need for a well-rounded perspective on this movie. Like I mentioned, Drizzy never had any kind of attachment to the MCU. So from the outside looking in, the whole thing just seems stupid.
We need to break up.
That's a lot of homework to give a date. So how much did we do?
Almost none of it.
And did it affect how much you enjoyed the movie?
Not at all.
One upside to taking a date to a movie like this is when a character says something like, they're locked up on the raft. You get to lean over and say, that's a maximum security supervillain prison out in the ocean. And you get to watch your date go,
Oh.
even if it doesn't help your date, or it doesn't impress them that you know so much about superheroes, a little whisper here or there, as long as it isn't bothering those around you, goes a long way in making you feel like you are engaging with this movie together. So big points to Thunderbolts for that.
Something you don't want while going to a movie is for your date to feel uncomfortable. The superhero movies I've seen had a naked Mystique and Jean Grey flip-flopping between Cyclops and Wolverine. With superhero movies being so grand in scale, the petty little love triangles just kind of annoy me.
And the OG Avengers lineup only had one woman, Black Widow. And she was obviously like a kind of femme fatale with a skin-tight leather outfit.
This movie didn't have any of those problems. The characters are deep and nuanced enough without romantic subplots shoehorned in. It just makes it easier to follow the individual character arcs without any of that stuff muddying it up. The women are also capable, strong, and interesting. They feel like actual characters rather than just people filling team spots. Every scene was necessary and interesting. Nothing felt forced or to just fill time.
If that sounds like a nitpick, let me put it to you this way. Do you remember how lame the forced love subplot between Cap, Steve Rogers, and Sharon Carter was in Civil War?
They're gonna come looking for you.
I know.
Thank you, Sharon.
That was
Late.
damn right. I should go.
Yeah, this movie avoids that completely, which gives them more time to flesh out the characters as individuals and adds legitimacy to their individual character arcs.
Speaking of character arcs,
Are we spoiling now?
we're gonna spoil now. If you want to skip spoilers, just skip ahead to this time code. A big theme of this movie is having regrets about who you ended up being. All of the characters feel bad about who they are and the life that they're leading. Some of them feel stagnant, some of them feel lonely, and some feel like their glory days are behind them. None of the members on this team are innocent, but all of them would like to believe that they have the capacity to do good.
And the movie is paced really well. It didn't feel like 2 hours at all.
Sometimes movies struggle with pacing. We don't want to be mean and say they're boring. They're just really generous with opportunities for kiss breaks.
A good date movie shouldn't be so unengaging that you feel like you'd rather be making out the whole time. It should feel like you need to pick your moments perfectly.
Thunderbolts, despite having a lot of downtime when we get to know the characters, didn't have any kiss breaks, aka non-essential scenes. And like we'll get to in a moment, that actually adds points rather than taking points away.
So we get a refreshing look at heroes who don't feel much like heroes. And this isn't just internally either. They're always on the back foot, always facing greater odds, and always at risk of losing, considering their end goal isn't just to save the day, it's to worm their way out from underneath Valentina's thumb. None of them are as OP as Spider-Man or Iron Man or Thor, with one exception, of course, being Sentry. But he isn't always capable of using his power, and when he is, it's usually against the Thunderbolts. The theme of redemption and aspiring to heroism is also sewn into the plot early.
A lot of the character growth we see, especially in Yelena and Red Guardian, is in service of this theme. Red Guardian was seen as a hero to the people of Russia and wants to earn that sense of honor again. And he wants it for his daughter as well. Their conversation early on charts the course for their journeys going forward. Yelena, or I guess Black Widow too, Alexei, Red Guardian, and John Walker, U.S. Agent, all have understandable, nuanced reasons to be more heroic.
And although I personally felt like them suddenly saving people at the end was a little rushed, I am a sucker for superheroes actually saving people.
I'd argue the most powerful character, aside from Sentry, is Ghost.
Yeah, we really liked Ghost, even though she's probably given the least attention in terms of actually developing her character.
It's just really cool to see her fight. And it's different from the others, just shooting and punching.
This movie is one of the best examples of what the MCU should be. The humor is dialed back, making room for genuine weight on certain beats. Characters are given story arcs with room to grow, and there are some choices, like what they did with The Void, that are exciting and new. There are moments that make you look at your date like, but unfortunately, some things are still present that have been in the MCU for a while. The movie is very desaturated, the shadows are washed out, and the environments and characters are mostly the same dull grey. Though, I think if there ever was a movie where this style actually works, it would be The Thunderbolts. When one of the characters finally does break out of the uniform grey that the characters have been swimming in since the beginning of the movie, it coincides with his turn against the group. Sentry, being bright yellow, sets him apart from the darker, duller Thunderbolts. Then, when the Void comes out and starts using his powers, we finally get some actual black shadows, which helps sell this darkness as something severe.
And before we watched the movie, I read on Twitter that when Sentry and Yelena look at each other, things get brighter, which was another great way the visuals created and added to subtext. Alexei speaks about the light inside Yelena growing or shrinking, and this is a great way to show that she and Sentry are looking for the same resolution. Again, without romantic undertones. I mean, you could interpret it as romantic if you wanted to, but there wasn't anything that truly implied it was more than platonic.
Yeah, when you pointed that out, it kind of blew my mind.
And that's another great signifier for a date movie. It actually gives you something to talk about after the date. The worst thing ever is when a movie is so lacking in substance that there's nothing to talk about afterwards.
Yeah, like you come out of Age of Ultron, and yeah, you might have enjoyed the movie in the moment, but the only thing to really talk about is, I liked when the Avengers fought Ultron, and I like when Hawkeye said the joke.
Okay, look, the city is flying. We're fighting an army of robots. And I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense.
You can like the movie, but it doesn't really help when it's a date movie.
We had so much to talk about afterwards, about the characters, the visuals,
And the direction for the future.
yeah, so the consensus for us is Thunderbolts will date movie.
And because of that, we'll definitely be checking out Fantastic Four when it comes out.